everybody, and welcome to Anime Sickos, the podcast for geniuses, where we discuss the four pillars of modern misery, anime gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I'm Joe. I am an anime sicko.
Joe, do you know what I got on my mind?
Some shit from the internet, probably.
Yeah, right on.
I got it in one.
Every time you got it. Yeah, I'm thinking about a meme. You know that meme I'm thinking about? It's the one with the two beefy arms. You know, you got your Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers from Predator with at the height of their beef.
Both those guys have pythons. They are just they're just beefy fellows.
Just this is when fucking Araki went to draw JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He's like, what if every arm was this? What if the guy selling newspapers had this arm? No, but you got your two arms, and they're clasped in friendship and agreements. And this meme in particular, you often have one arm written on top of it, a group of people. Yeah, on top of the other arm, well, there's a different group of people, usually in direct opposition to that initial group. Well, okay, it seems like they're gonna fight, right? No, idiot. In the clasped hand, there's a point of agreement.
I'm gonna take a stab at the labeling right here. This is off the dome. I'm going to say that you're thinking about the one that says, on the left, people who like anime, and on the right, people who hate anime, and the common ground is making fun of anime.
Yes, that's the fucking one.
That's the correct way to approach consuming Japanese cartoons and comics. That's the correct way to do it.
It really fucking is. Like, if you ask us if we like anime, what we're going to do is we're going to sort of like spend a minute thinking.
First of all, we're going to start sweating profusely. I'm going to become incredibly damp. I'm just going to become a disgusting swamp man. And
you're going to become damp.
I'll try to open a window and climb out. But if it's locked, I will be forced to talk.
We're gonna try to chew off a limb. Which one? That's we're riffing, we're bebopping. We can't script this. But eventually we're gonna sit you down and make you look us in the eye, and we're gonna talk to you for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna leave in shame, and you're gonna be like, do they like anime?
It's very unclear if they like it. I've never met someone who could talk seamlessly about something for 10 minutes like that, and also maybe hate it.
It's unclear to you. It's also unclear to us. Like, Joe, you love Dragon Ball, right? Like, you love it.
Yes. A lot of people have very fond memories about Star Wars. They talk about how it was like formative of their childhood. I don't relate to the Star Wars aspect of it, but the template of that statement is how I feel about Dragon Ball. It was a formative thing. I remember riding my bike home from school as fast as possible so I could watch Goku scream and do nothing. And I watched a lot of it. It was important to me. That said, I can never, ever appreciate it and love it without this part of me. And this part of me is very important. That hates it a little bit.
Joe, I think you have hit upon the fucking crux of it. And this is something that we've talked about. We've sort of glanced at it in Anime Sickos in the past, but I think it's time to take a probing look. Which is that, like, the ability to acknowledge that the things you like kind of fucking suck is one of the most valuable skills you can have.
If you don't have it in some capacity, life's going to be hard. It's going to be real rough.
If you don't have it, what's going to happen is you're going to find a thing you like, and you're going to like it a lot.
Yeah, and you're going to build a huge wicker man.
Yeah, you're going to think that it's perfect. And if you ever find something that's perfect, you would be correct to worship it and make it the focal point of your life.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's wrong.
Yeah, hypothetically, let's say you're wandering through the desert and you come upon a floating sphere that is the most beautiful and smooth object you've ever seen, and you believe it's perfect. You are right, in that case, to worship it as a god.
Yeah, that sphere is going to give you Nen. You're going to get powers from the sphere. You should worship that sphere. The thing is, this is a world made by people, and all the media you watch is made by people, and people are dumb apes, so all of it kinda sucks.
Nothing is a perfect sphere, and certainly not Japanese cartoons where kids yell.
And that's like why we, in our very first episode, said that, like, if you come across someone who says they like anime, and you do not immediately follow that up with, like, but I get it. It's like, I get that it sucks. You should, like, report them for the far right plot that they're definitely planning.
That person should immediately have an explanation about hot springs episodes and why they should be illegal. Like, if that's not ready to go, you can chuck them out the window.
And it's like, why is this the case? And it comes down to that fucking worship thing. It's like, if you think the thing you like is perfect, you become an idolater and you must worship the thing. And the thing about a perfect thing is that it cannot change. It cannot be different from what it is because, like, it's fucking perfect, and so it's good. And you mentioned Star Wars before. I think Star Wars is a big example of this in particular. There are a lot of people who think that Star Wars is like the epic, perfect sci-fi saga, and they love it, and they worship it, and they make it a part of their identity. But by doing so, they sort of, like, freeze it in time, and it becomes very brittle. And if it ever changes into something that they don't recognize, their image breaks, and then they also break.
Yeah,
it's like they've made it part of their body, and they're Cronenberging out, and, like, they're like, what's going on?
Yeah. Their love for Star Wars turned them into the body gun from Videodrome.
Yeah, they're constantly getting things put in their tummy. It's no good.
And we say this is anime, but we just mean, like, this sort of knowing a little bit of, just a little bit of critical hatred for something you love is important. Because, like, look, here's an example. Punk music. We both love punk music. I love punk music.
Ass. I love
punk music.
Every single punk musician is a dumbass who, like, turns really far right when they turn 40 because they, like, bought a building and are like, fuck, being a landlord's way better than playing a punk musician.
Yes. I was also thinking how someone will correctly say, how come they can't sing? Like, so it's always just guys yelling about riding a bike. And it's like, yeah, it's really good. But
I remember I was at a Titus Andronicus concert, and there was a person in front of me who, like, halfway through looked at their friend and was like, how come this guy can't sing? And I'm like, what? Huh? You're just realizing that?
Oh, I feel for that guy, because that was like it sounds like it was a +1 situation. Like, hey, I got this extra ticket. Do you want to come see this band I like? And then they're like,
bands.
Oh yeah. The thing about bands is the guy in the front definitely knows how to sing. I won't ask if that's not the case, because I'll just go.
If that guy was my +1 and said, how come that guy can't sing? And I, like, got mad, I'd be the villain.
Oh, for sure.
Because I love Titus Andronicus. I think The Monitor and The Most Lamentable Tragedy are staggering works of art. He can't fucking sing. His voice is shit. It sounds awful.
Yeah, and like, for people who like punk music, like, the gratingness and just sort of the atonality of just someone yelling and not being able to sing is appealing, and I agree completely. Mm-hmm.
You could dress it up as saying, like, his emotions strain against the limits of his own body, and the breaking of his voice represents just the strength of the feeling overwhelming, the sort of physical matter of the body. That's a fucking lie.
Or he never took a lesson. Like, it just never happened.
Yeah. The real thing is, he can't fucking sing. He doesn't know how to do music right. He kind of sucks.
Another, like, music thing where you have to be acutely aware of the thing you like sucks a little bit is in high school and in college, and I still like them. The band Bad Religion is, like, a punk band.
Oh my god. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, well, the thing about Bad Religion is that they make cool punk music, but here's the thing I have to say, even as a Bad Religion fan, which is, they've made the same album 30 times.
they also, Joe, they made a song about how much they love logging on that you sent me the lyrics to.
This is off the dome. I think that is from an album called New America. I hope that's the case. But basically, that song is called I Love My Computer. I sent you the lyrics to it.
And here they are. I love my computer. You make me feel all right every waking hour and every lonely night. I love my computer for all you give to me. Predictable errors and no identity. It's never been quite so easy. I've never been quite so happy. All I need to do is click on you, and we'll be joined in the most soulless way. I'm not going to go further, but buddy, that's the worst shit I ever heard.
And here's the thing. You read it like a dumb nursery rhyme, like an idiot. And I'm not saying the lyrics are actually any better. But if I was fully invested in Bad Religion and not having that twinge of awareness of what they are, when I hear you schmucking it up as a nursery rhyme, that would compel me to violence. But it doesn't, because I'm a genius that understands that, one, this song sucks. That album's quite bad. And it doesn't even matter because their album, again, is the same thing 30 times.
And Joe, the compels you to violence thing, I think, is pretty fucking important, because something that often happens when you don't realize that the thing you like sucks is that you become a soldier for it, and you unwittingly become a culture warrior. Like, for example, I really love the show Steven Universe, and one of the reasons I love it is because it unapologetically puts forth very positive pro-LGBT values that like aren't hidden. It's not like a metaphor. It's like
out there.
It's in there. That's what it is. That's not the subtext. That is the text. But the thing is, it's real easy to assume that part of being pro-LGBT is to like Steven Universe, and that to not like it means that you don't like media that is portraying those values, especially because it's so rare to see media that's portraying those values.
Yes.
So you're like, if you don't like this, you aren't supporting media that is saying this important message, so you're my enemy. But like, no. Steven Universe is a kid's cartoon for kids, and it's good, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's good,
yeah.
But it's fine.
And acknowledging what it is not a gross attack on the values that show represents, which again, kick ass. And also, on top of the LGBTQ representation, it's also a show where like being nice is an actual skill.
Yeah. Steven Universe's like adoptive aunts are like super gem heroes who have been kicking ass with violence and action for centuries. And Steven is just like, what if we was real nice to the bad guys? And like, this is the impetus for saving the world. That's not important. But like another thing that about Steven Universe in particular is that like, it's not just people who don't like the show that get mobilized against. Like, if the creators are not perfect, and guess what they are, they get fucking shat on by their own fans, because they are supposed to be the paragons of these values, and if they ever make a mistake, they are breaking the perfect image.
Another thing you and I both love, and it unfortunately sort of cements our identities as like quiet white boys who like to be indoors, is that we both like love Infinite Jest, and we like talking about it with one another. But here's the thing, before I even go any further, I enjoyed talking about that book with you, and only you. And the reason for that is in my life I have come across David Foster Wallace heads who love it in maybe a religious way. And, buddy, I don't like talking about the book anymore, because David Foster Wallace, we talk about this all the time, is that he was a big-time Reagan voter. He's a stalker.
Yeah, he's a stalker, threatened violence to women. Real scary guy. Not good. Canceled, for sure. Yeah, like, Infinite Jest, I fucking love it. It is a great novel. It is a astonishing work that is really good. It's also 1 billion pages long. It's fucking inscrutable and nearly unreadable. And to read it requires you to put in way more fucking effort than is the return on investment is lower than any fucking book you'll ever read. Reading fucking Green Eggs and Ham, you're gonna get more enjoyment per second than this.
Yeah, Green Eggs and Ham is straightforward, and there isn't a ghost dad who is very invested in the stomach fungus that's living in his son. It's just like
you don't have to read about tennis.
Yeah, it's a complicated book, and like if you like explained the book or you were holding the book and you showed it to someone and you kind of gave them the short version about what it is, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna fucking read that." The correct answer is, "Oh, I see where you're coming from." Unfortunately,
yeah.
I've met a lot of people who take this as an opportunity to be like, "Oh, I need to dig myself out of this hole. Maybe I'm just not explaining it well enough."
No. Like, I remember when I was reading it, I read it on the train, which, again, it's like such a fucking cliche.
Oh,
like,
I never did that. You're
DFW
fucking awful.
on the train. I know, right? And one dude saw me reading it. He's sitting next to me, and he's like, "Oh, what's that about?" And I was like 300 pages in, again, to like a 1,000-page book.
So your correct answer was like, "I don't fucking know, dude."
Yeah. I looked at him and with full sincerity was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "Is it good?" And I was like, "I don't know." And eventually I determined that it was. But also, if you don't want to read it for the obvious reasons, you're right.
Reading it in public is very dangerous because there's a good chance someone's going to want to talk to you about it. That's a losing proposition.
People are going to think that the reason that I'm doing it is because I have made the book into my idol and I'm doing a religious ceremony by putting it in front of people's eyes.
That, like, reading that in public is only slightly worse than if you had like a huge dictionary and you were just reading it cover to cover to be like smart.
Joe, like, you talk about Dragon Ball Z. My sort of like equivalent of that is One Piece, except I didn't get into that when I was a little kid. I got into that like last year. But
I think that's what I like about the One Piece journey is I feel like you're experiencing what for many people was supposed to be a childhood of wonder, and you're just fucking freebasing it in a month.
It's really good. But like the thing about One Piece is that it is really dumb. Like that's what, like, guess the devil fruit is about. Like, these devil fruits are like the backbone of like the power system that makes up like the sort of political balance of the world. Like, people having certain devil fruits makes them like one of the most important people in the world. And they're fucking baby toys. They make no sense. They're very silly. And the main character is a little baby who like can't figure out how Legos work and wants to eat a big pie.
Yeah. And I'm going to turn that around on you because if someone was like, "Oh, One Piece sucks because it's all the reasons you just said," the other side of that coin, you would be like, actually, it has 1,000 named characters. It's one of the longest pieces of fiction ever created.
Yes, yep. Characters introduced in one chapter don't actually appear in the actual canon story until like 600 chapters later. Every single woman looks exactly the same, and the artist is like, and like the artist was in one of like the question and answer segments at the back of the volume. It's like, "Are you ever gonna draw a girl in a different way?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know how. I'm not gonna learn. I just draw 2 circles and an X underneath."
I love the parts of manga where people write letters in because the answers from the authors are always so clearly a man who is very tired or a woman, and like I don't want to but like
yeah.
But the author is always very tired. I was reading, it was the 7 Deadly Sins. I can't say the Japanese name of it. I don't remember what it is, but it's the 7 Deadly Sins, and that one had a lot because it's very popular. So there's a lot of like fan letters, and the best shit is when the letter is like a solid 6 paragraphs, which is like, "Dear author, I was wondering because I noticed that this character at this point acted this way, and I just can't help but feel that there's a connection to this other situation where he," and then the author just like, "Wow, that's cool." It's the best.
What that happens a lot in fucking One Piece ones is they'll be like, "Oda-san, this character sort of looks like an onion. onion in Japanese can be read as this. If you use the kanji, if you use this kanji, it can be read like this. And then that word sounds a little bit like June. And also, this character's favorite number is 14. So, can you tell me that the character's birthday is June 14th? And this happens, like, constantly. Like, most characters in One Piece have canonical birthdays. And it's because people write in, ask this, and Oda is like, I don't fucking care. Fine. Who cares?
This reminds me of, like, when I read the Street Fighter instruction manual as a kid, and I was like, why do they all have blood types? Like, why is that really important? And evidently that is, like, a big thing in terms...
Joe, have you... This is reminding me of, have you ever run into a canon fanboy?
Oh, yeah. Canon fanboys rule because they fail to grasp a basic tenet of fiction, which is that it's all fucking fake and made up.
Yeah, like... like, whenever there's a piece of media that has a sexist portrayal or, you know, a racist portrayal of a character... There'll always be canon fanboys who are like, I actually love this piece of media. And if you look in the canon, there's a reason that this happened.
The reason is the author has weird beliefs.
Yeah, the author wanted to do the thing that they already believe, but not get in trouble. So they invented a cover.
We had to read, what was it, The Plunder of Gore for Tomfoolery, and...
Tomfoolery, if you're not aware, is Codex Melcher's incredible podcast about reading bad or weird books.
Yes, and The Plunder of Gore is like the 900th book in the series, and I'm not oversimplifying it. The book is like just weird sexism fan fiction. It's just like, oh, women are in this world basically sex slaves. Is that the correct way to put it, would you say?
Yes.
It's fucking bad. But
yeah, and every single time that it's brought up, the author is like, you should know, though, that in this world, all the girls think it's really good.
Yeah, and if you ever go to a Goodreads page for any of those books, and the further in the series you go, the worse it gets, because the series started out as just kind of like your run-of-the-mill fantasy, and then like by like book 4, he's like, oh, I've discovered a new way to be horny. But
a new weird way to do it wrong.
Yeah, and the Goodreads reviews are great, because there's a lot of people being like, yo, this is like some weird shit in this book. And then there'll be, like you had said, people explaining to the person that originally posted that is like, actually, there's a reason this is super sexist. And that's because in the world, and this is where it's hard to understand, that's normal.
Joe, what I thought you were going to say, and this is even the weirdest fucking one of all, and this is like shockingly common, is a Goodreads review that's like, it's a fun read, it had some fun action scenes. And it's like, huh? What?
Yeah, when they don't mention the weird, pervasive worldview that is embedded in those books, and you're like, there was a cool fight. Some other shit happened, I wasn't really into it.
One of the things about the canon fanboyism is, it reminds me of one of the only good things Ricky Gervais has ever done. Now, Ricky Gervais sucks ass, as we all know. Don't need to get into that, but...
Wait, I want to stop you there. The cool thing, and the only good thing he did, is when he wrote atheist on his naked chest, right? And stood like a cool guy.
No, this is before that. Joe, that's ironically good. No, this is really good. It was in an interview that he was doing between the second season finale of The British Office and before the Christmas special that was like the actual end. And the Christmas special took place like a couple of years after the second season ended. So like the characters were in a different place than they were. And the second season sort of ended on a cliffhanger where all the characters sort of like were in their lowest spot. And the interviewer was asking Ricky Gervais about like, oh, have you read about how a lot of fans have theorized about like how the characters would act, you know, in these scenarios and like where they are now? Have you looked into that at all to inform your writing? You know, and one of the only good things he ever fucking does is he has this look of like utter like what the fuck on his face. He's like, the character is going to do whatever the fuck I write. That's exactly what they're going to do.
He's right about that.
Yeah, and like, just, he's an asshole, but he understood that, like, this is just a guy writing some fucking words. This is not special. It's just a show.
Yeah. If one of the characters dies, they don't actually kill the actor.
If Ricky Gervais says, on the way to the office Christmas party, Goku shows up and says, fucking Tim and Dawn, who are the Jim and Pam analogs, and they're like, who is Jim and Pam? And he's like, don't worry about it. Only you can do the special technique to defeat Frieza. Guess what? That's what happened in the office now.
Yeah, that would kick ass.
Yeah, I want that to happen. And Joe, part of why this is so important to us in particular is because we are on another podcast, Shuffle Quest, that is an actual play podcast where the characters go to a bunch of different pop culture worlds. And being able to understand that these worlds, these sort of pop culture worlds, like we go to Men in Black world, we go to Dragon Ball Z world, being able to know that we both love them and that they actually suck ass is so fucking freeing in what we can do in that show.
Yes. There is an alternate reality where you're like a weirder guy and you like scold us for not taking Men in Black seriously enough. Like in that parallel universe, that sucks. That for sure sucks. And let's even go one step further. The concept of actual play RPGs, I am on one. And when people say they're not into it, I'm like, buddy, I get it.
Yeah, fucking yes. Like, I feel that way about podcasts in general. Like when someone's like, "Oh, you do a podcast? Tell me about it." I'm like, I don't want to."
Yeah,
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, and I can never truly like be surprised or even at all angry when someone's like, "Oh yeah, no, that's what that is." No, thank you.
But the sort of flip side of this, you know, we were talking about how, like, you know, you have to think that things you like suck. It gives you flexibility. If you think everything is perfect, you're sort of locked into it and you make it your identity. If you go too far, well, then you get irony poisoning, don't you? You become completely detached.
Irony poisoning, that's no good. That's actually a very dangerous thing. I don't think I was ever irony poisoned. I will say, though, that maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I was certainly on the path a little bit. You know, there were certain things that could have happened and maybe I would have kept going in a direction. And if I would have stayed on that direction, this podcast would have been called like Assad Sickos. And it's just like the anime podcast about, you know, the lion Bashar al-Assad and how he's very powerful or whatever.
Yeah, Cog Talk would be replaced by Tulsi Talk.
Yeah. And the thing, though, is like to be like so ironically detached that you feel compelled to like sort of jump out like a hideous little goblin and point out why everything kind of sucks. That's a terrible way to go through life, and it will absolutely rot your brain.
Also, if the thing about it is ironic detachment, you take off its beguiling mask, and you see the hideous face beneath.
Which is your face. Not specifically Tom's. I mean, like, your own face.
No. I mean, what I was going to say is that it's just another fandom. It's just another idol to worship. It is, like, Joe, all that shit you said about irony poisoning just now, if you were to take that and, like, dub in me saying Batman every time you said irony poisoning, it would be exactly the same. The same way that, like, anytime someone says something about Batman, you feel compelled to come out and talk about how Batman is good. It's like, it's the fucking same.
Yep.
And like, I'm not saying that I'm immune. Like that Garfield meme, you are not immune to propaganda. I'm not saying I'm immune because, like, I get in these little Twitter bubbles where I see people who I agree with say genius things, and I'm like, I agree with that. That means I'm a genius. And I see them dunking on people who are stupid. I'm like, that person is stupid. I will dunk on them too. I have dunked on them. This is fun. And every once in a while, I do a dunk, and I, like, sit, and I, like, look at it, and I look at what the person said.
You sit in your filth for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, shit, perhaps this was a disproportionate response. Why did I do this? And the reason is because I was doing a religious ceremony for my idol, and I have to be like, no, this sucks. This actually is bad.
Yep, the religious idol that is online.
Ugh, it's the worst one.
Yeah, I had a tweet I actually deleted because Jeet here, who's a columnist for the Toronto Star, we've talked about him with Sarah McHenry. Jeet is like
every day Jeet takes out a revolver, puts 3 good take bullets into it and 3 bad take bullets, and he just shoots at the computer.
Yeah, he's a wild guy, and I dunked on him. He had a dumb tweet about how conspiracy theories distract people from real politics, and I took issue with the word real politics just because like it was kind of a weird clunky term, and my dunk was like a little too aggressive, and like it got a ton of likes, like it was blowing up, and then I just like felt shittier and shittier and shittier because like Jeet's not like a bad guy. He's just a take demon who like has to spit out opinions because it's his job, and it just didn't seem proportional, as you said. So I ended up like deleting it just because it seemed really aggressive, and it was the same exact thing where I was like, I got addicted to the thrill of the dunk, and even though I was getting like the positive feedback you get in those numbies, it still feels bad. That all said, it's like really freeing though when you find someone who's like correctly striking that balance where they love something but they're also kind of acutely aware of the ways it's bad. So I've never read Naruto. I've never watched the anime. All I know is that it's a kid with a tracksuit.
His son is named Boruto.
Which is like, I'm sorry, but that's the funniest thing that's ever been said. that is naming your son a rhyming version of your name is child abuse. But someone who listened to the show was like, "Hey, are you guys ever going to do a bit about Naruto?" And we were like, "Well, I've never read it." And then they had explained why they loved it, but also in that explanation, they explained something to me that I had no idea about, which is that technology advances in Naruto, so they go from carrier pigeons to like VR in like 10 years. And that person acknowledging that like, oh yeah, I love this thing, but like this is a weird thing about it, was like, this is actually the most compelling pitch I've heard of that series ever, because it's exactly the way I want to engage with something.
Yes. Because like that's the thing about when you talk about media that does have these sort of adherents, you never know. It's like you are a fucking serf in the old days, and another guy in the fields is just like, "Hey, did you hear about the Liege Lord?" And you're like, "Yeah, the Liege Lord's fine." And you're hoping that the other serf is like, "Yeah, I agree." But you never know. You might get that serf who, when you say that, you see their eyes go hard and they take up their pitchfork and poke at you.
Yes, or they have the Liege Lord run you over with a big horse.
Joe, that fucking Naruto thing, let's go back to that, because that, I think, one of the things that sort of bothered me about, not bothered me, but that I was worried about this episode is that like we would come across as like very negative, that you like were stupid to like a thing, that like if you really unironically liked the thing, then you're actually a dumbass. Like that's not what we wanted to say at all. And I think that Naruto shit is the key to understanding like what specifically we're saying.
Yeah, that's the Philosopher's Stone. The thing is, if you love something, you should like something as unabashedly as you possibly can. We're not saying you should tamper your excitement about it, but we are saying, though, that if you want to take your enjoyment of something up to the next level, really the best way to do it is to immerse it in your brain, think about it constantly, and then dedicate a huge portion of your life to making fun of it, because, man, only then will you truly appreciate it.
It's like you can never tell how you can't recognize the light until you see the dark.
Yes, like I like Dragon Ball Z just fine, but I didn't really start loving it until I couldn't stop joking about the episode where they have to go to driving school and Goku and Piccolo have to learn to drive.
It's like every single person who makes art is a weird pervert, because that's the only kind of person that exists on Earth. You are one. It's true.
Yeah, you are as well. It sucks.
And the fact that from such infertile soil, such beautiful flowers can bloom is incredible. And to deny the filth of the dirt that the flower grew from is to deny the true beauty of the flower.
Yeah.
I think the thing we gotta leave you with is that when you like a thing, and I mean really like it, what you will do sort of by instinct is brick by brick build yourself a little prison. And then that prison is where you'll live for the rest of your life. The warden will become your best friend and you would die for him. And you will never sort of understand that there is a world outside the prison. And you will rattle against the bars and be unaware of what is causing the bruises on you as you smash against them. So we're just asking, every once in a while, realize that everything that is made by people and that they are stupid apes. And that's why we say that this podcast is stupid. Not because it's bad. It's good, but it's stupid.
Yeah.
Cog Talk. Cog Talk. Joe, for this Cog Talk, I just want to address some criticism I've got for previous Cog Talks. I'm not going to say that I'm wrong because I'm a genius. Why would I do that? But some people have told me that I am a little too cagey, a little too vigilant when I'm at the office. And, you know, I've talked in the past about being like a prickly monster who builds up these walls and refuses to let people see me in my human form.
Yeah, at the office, you're kind of like a rescue dog that's waiting for just a really understanding family.
Yeah, you're going to need to put in a lot of work to train me to not bite
This
you.
is a one-dog household type of dog.
Yeah. But I hear these criticisms. But I will still defend myself. Because the thing about The Office is that you can say, oh, why don't you be nice? Why don't you let these people in? You know, chat a little bit, have a good time, be friendly. Like, I'm civil, but I'm not friendly. Be friendly. And the reason is, you know, maybe I am missing out on some lovely office friendships. I'm almost certainly am. I accept that. I'm certain that there are great people. But you can never know for sure. You never know what's behind someone's eyes. You never know who's a fucking absolute maniac, whose existence is terrifying to you as though they took off their mask and were a Lovecraft behind it. And the proof of this is, have you ever been to an office kitchen or bathroom?
They're a nightmare. Oh man, everything is bad. I genuinely dread going to the bathroom at work because you're gonna see people at their most feral.
Yeah, like my old office had, you know, the standard like gulag bathrooms where there's a row of little stalls that have 1-inch fucking cracks on either side so everyone can see in. But there was also one sort of handicap accessible bathroom that was single occupancy. There were times when I would be like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and that bathroom was occupied, and rather than go to the gulag bathroom, I'm just like, I'll hold it for half an hour and try again. It was paradise. But now I have solely the gulag bathroom, and apparently I work with a bunch of wailing shit demons. There have been, like, not to get too much into it, but you know it's bad when you're sitting in a stall and someone comes into the one next to you, and the one next to you isn't the only open one.
Oh, so it's a distance issue.
Yeah, they decide, like, I need someone to hear this. And then before you even hear a plop, you hear them go, ugh.
Yeah, that's bad. I often find myself like washing my hands, and I'll see someone like run in with like a furied panic, and like I can't dry my hands fast enough just so I don't have to like experience the soundscape. My like I know I need to get out fast when someone runs into the stall and they take their pants off with such force that their belt buckle hits the ground like it was a knife that got knocked out of their hand.
Fuck. Like, Joe, I don't have the best tummy in the world, but I would say that the percentage of times that the stuff that comes out of my butt is a horrible hose is like under 10%. Not the case for my office mates. There are if you go into the bathroom at like 10 to 11 a.m.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Every stall is fucking packed with. It's like a Guess Who game. You don't know who it is, but you know that you've seen him in the office, just shooting out a goddamn fire hose of nightmares into this little bowl. And if you go back a couple hours later, one of them didn't flush. One of them just left it, and you're like, oh no, was it clogged and they had to leave it all embarrassed like, and I take my shoe and push down on the toilet flusher, and it flushes just fine, and it's like, oh, they just chose not to. They think this is fine.
I don't think women fully understand the way that men are barbarians at the urinal either. Like, it would never occur to me to piss on the floor, like, just ever. But you can go into a men's bath. The issue, again, is at the office, these aren't just like passing strangers. These are people you have to walk by their desks and like look them in the eye. And eventually you might have to email them and be like, can I get a file? And then you just have to pretend they don't piss all over the floor.
Joe, I thought you were going to get fucking canceled by saying that, like, women don't know, because women's bathrooms are fucking nightmares as well. But no, the urinal situation is just, like, at best, you're asking guys to piss against the wall in just the right way. And, like, every third guy who comes into the bathroom is yelling as loud as they can to their homie about the big game, and they go to the urinals together and take their dicks out in unison and, like, looking into each other's eyes and unbroken conversation, are pissing on the ground, just missing big time, and then they go back and you're like, they make more than me.
Like, the only true authentic bathroom experience, by which I mean, like, an actualization of what bathrooms truly are, and it's not dressing it up anymore, is, this isn't the case anymore, but Wrigley Field used to just have, like, instead of urinals, they had, like, a big piss trough.
Oh, a big piggy trough.
Yeah, that you just line up and just shoot piss into. And that's actually what bathrooms are. Like, that is matching expectations of how people will operate.
And it's awful in an office environment. In a fucking ballpark, it's like, dope, whatever, I'll piss in the trough. This is who we are. We're all beasts. We knew this coming in. We're at a fucking Cubs game. What do you think? Do you have dignity? No. But at the office, like, everyone is in their smart little business attire. We're all doing serious business. We're all being very professional. And then just the fact remains that every day I have to go in a little room where there are 5 mystery guys who could be anyone committing the foulest crimes. And they just go back to work, smile on their faces as though it was fine.
And to your point, yeah, they all make more money than you, which is like, they really twist the knife. Also, the most powerful shitters are able to change the ambient temperature of a bathroom.
Jesus.
Like, you know how it feels when you walk into a bathroom that someone just showered in? Some of your coworkers can do that. The human body is incredible.
They emit steam.
Yeah, it's bad. And you have to pretend like...
This actually is cold. This feels normal.
Yep.
Less disgusting, but I think more sort of maddening is office kitchens. Because anytime I've been in an office, it's just been like the sort of office manager is in this endless Cold War where they're sending increasingly pained emails about the state of the kitchen and what not to do with the sink and dishwasher.
Attention all, I'm sorry I have to say this again, but please do not feed the raccoon. He will not leave.
It's like, folks, please, remember how the sink was broken last week and we didn't have any water in the kitchen? And the maintenance guy had to come fix the sink, and now we have a new sink. Please don't put food in the sink. And then I go like a half hour later, and someone is like shoving an entire loaf of bread down the sink, and you're like, "Why are you doing that?" And they're like, "Because I don't want a bread, idiot." And you're like, "Oh, I guess I can't say no because you are the CEO. So go ahead, sir."
It's like I have my lunch is nothing but a big honey baked ham, and I open it, and I'm like, I can't wait to put this on the sink.
And like, you know, sometimes I bring my lunch to work if I want to be sad, and I will take the Tupperware and I'll put it in the fridge, and then at lunchtime I'll take it out and I'll eat it, and then I'll take the empty container home, and that's what I do. You know, you would think that that's what everyone does. You know, you have a container of food, you're gonna eat it. So then when eating time comes, you eat it, and then when the food's gone, you take the container.
I'm gonna just take a wild guess here. Are you about to suggest that some people think the fridge is a magical food lottery device that you can just fucking go to town?
Oh man, that would be bad. Fortunately, that hasn't happened to me. I'm sure it happens to many people. What I think a lot of people in my office believe is that like food is just like it's like loot in an RPG. You just get it and you put it in your inventory and you're not sure what it does, and you're like, maybe one day this will be what I need, but until then I'm not going to waste mental energy on it. And they put it in their inventory, which is to say the fridge, and they think, well, that's going to stay there forever.
The most truly psychopathic thing I've ever seen. I didn't see the person put this in the fridge, but I had seen it in the fridge. I opened it up and there was just 2 cartons of eggs. So this person, so there was 24 eggs just taking up like the corner of the shelf, and it was the most deflating emotional experience I've ever seen. I've ever had, rather.
What? Joe, does your office kitchen have like a hot plate or stove?
This is at a previous job, and buddy, no. So I assume this person was like, when I get hungry, I will just crack them into an old shoe and slurp it down.
I think you're giving this person too much credit. I think what they were doing is like, I would like to make 24 problems for someone in the future.
Yes, you know what? I didn't even look at the expiration date. I wasn't brave enough because like, I already kind of know that it was like 3 months old.
Every fucking couple months, there's like, guys, we're going to have to do another full fridge cleanup. Please review the fridge and see if anything is yours. And if it is, please label it. Otherwise, we're going to throw it out. And sometimes just for fun, I'll be like, I wonder how much shit gets labeled. Fucking none of it. It's just like a fridge that is stuffed to the gills with ancient food that no one remembers. And I'm just like, these are people whose organizational and managerial skills are such that they were hired for jobs where they make 5 times what I make.
They're a higher caste of human than you.
Yeah, their ability to plan and execute on basic tasks is superhuman, or so their titles would indicate.
I have I think a really telling kitchen example that I want to share with you. This isn't This isn't even related to grossness or anything. At a previous job in the office kitchen, there was also a take a book, leave a book bin.
Whoa, this can only go well.
And I'm going to tell you what happened. First, there were no books for a very long time. Just no one did it. And then one person left the first Dune book. No. And you know how I said it's take a book, leave a book? Nobody fucking took a book. What then happened is, I guess everyone in the office realized that this was finally the chance for them to get rid of all their copies of Dune.
Divest from Dune.
Because, like, there were 9 or 10 Dune books, and, like, the pile just kept getting bigger and bigger. Like, it was exclusively Dune. Like, I don't know if they thought that once, like, someone puts a book down, you have to match it.
Okay, so 2 things. One, clearly what was happening is that the book Dune was asexually reproducing. And 2, this is fundamentally disproving the point I'm trying to make, because this is hero behavior. This is king shit, and I'm so proud of you for being among the people who would divest from Dune en masse like this.
This is the duality of man, right? You have shit demon and king. Like, there's 2 of you. There's 2 of those in you.
And it's, and it's the same thing about being a cog. Sure, you might miss some dope times with true kings, but you can never tell who is doing that fucking crime in the bathroom. You never know who said, ugh. You never know whose belt hit tile and cracked it with its force.
As a measure to protect myself in the armor of ignorance, will never look at someone's shoes.
Oh my god! Yeah, yes. I hadn't even realized I did this, but it's like I didn't realize gravity was a thing, and you just told me about it. I'm like, oh my god, I noticed that. Yes, because you don't want to know that. It's like learning that, like, oh, this person is actually a big bug in a suit. I don't want to know about the bug.
Yeah, I don't just mean like look at the shoes under the stalls. I mean, when I'm walking around, I will never look at feet, because I might subconsciously file that information away, which I then can guess who it later, which will bring me psychic trauma.
Yeah, I would much rather work in a minefield where any person, if I scratch the surface, they're like, I love to poop, I never flush, than to know exactly who it is and fear that one day I'm going to be put into a position when I have to respect them, because I can't.
No, and you have to ask them for something. That's the thing. It's like you fundamentally have to ask one of those stall individuals for permission to do something, and that is just unfair.
To by asking, validate the fact that their decision-making ability is more valuable than yours. When you know that when they take a big old dump...
It confirms that their stomach is actually normal.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, when they take a big old dump, their decision-making ability is flushing this is optional.
Yes.
This can just stay. I don't need to try. The worst is when I hear one of these people finish with a quickness, get up, and then I hear the door open and close, and notably did not hear the water run.
Man, I'm not like a germaphobe, but I'm like literally starting to sweat just in my mind's eye that you have sort of beamed into my brain.
And if you listening are like, why are you being so gross? Why are you doing this potty humor? This is not humor to me. This is serious stuff that I have to deal with every day. I hate it.
This is universal too. Like, I don't think that there's anyone who works at a reasonably sized office who could hear this and be like, wow, that's never happened. And
exactly.
And if they say that, that's because they are the biggest offender of everything we're describing.
Yeah. Like, they see the email that says, please do not put dishes in the sink. And then they're like, And then later, when they have a bunch of dishes, they're like, where am I going to put this? Well, I'm definitely not going to think about it at all, and I've already put them down somewhere, so I'm done.
Well, if I break them all with a hammer in the sink, that doesn't count.
And they're the sort of people who, after they take a huge, messy shit, are like, well, I don't really think there are any other steps. I feel great.
This didn't come up in the interview, so I'm fine.
I gotta wonder, at these people, when they're at home, do they just leave it? Do they, like, just take 10 dumps until they reach a critical mass and are like, I don't know what's supposed to happen with this. I'm gonna press buttons on this thing until it goes away. Oh, this lever made it go away. That's fun.
I don't have the answer to that. It's something that keeps me up at night, though.
Like, I mean, I respect the sort of mortification that comes with trying to flush and it don't work and you gotta leave it. That's awful.
That's
and I understand.
One of the worst, like, creeping realizations you can have. Like, if you got stabbed in the back and you looked in the mirror and you realize that you have, like, a gushing wound, that is secondary to a toilet that is not flushing and it's your fault.
But of the sort of fully armed toilets that I've come across, the amount of times that a flush does not clear it out like nothing is like 1 out of 20.
Yep. The takeaway here, trust no one. Inside everyone is a horrible stall demon that needs to be exorcised. Don't look at anyone's shoes, because then you'll actually get a terrible insight into who they are and you will not like it.
Also, all this talk that we've been doing of like plausible deniability about who they are is just a sort of salve for our minds, because it's your boss. It's always your boss.
Yes, it's someone who doesn't like it when you look at your phone.
Oh, that's all the time we have for Anime Sickos today. I've been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I'm Joe, an Anime Sicko.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.